Today, South Africa's Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies is wrapping up a three-day oversight visit in Gauteng Province. The delegation has been engaging with key public entities responsible for media diversity, universal access programs, and national digital infrastructure, including the Media Development and Diversity Agency, MDDA, the South African Universal Service and Access Agency and Associated Fund, and also Broadband Infraco to assess governance, financial performance and progress on expanding digital access across the country. With us now is Ms. Khusela Diko, who's a Member of Parliament and Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies, to outline the committee's findings and what it sees as priorities for improving connectivity service delivery for all South Africans. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome. Always good to talk to you.
Good morning, Peter, and good morning to your listeners. Thank you so much for inviting us onto the program.
So tell us about this mission that you've been on and that you're concluding today. What are the key objectives of this oversight visit, and why does it matter for South Africa's digital future?
Thanks again, Peter. You know, I was laughing to myself as I was hearing you read those tongue twisters there. But you remember from our last conversation where you and I were at Startup 20 as part of the G20. That particular conversation referenced the fact that if indeed we're going to build an inclusive society in South Africa and indeed across the continent, we need to ensure that, our digital infrastructure is in place that would then allow us to catapult so many young people into the mainstream economy. So as Parliament, we decided to do an oversight visit, undertake an oversight visit to these entities that you mentioned. 3 separate entities of government, 3 different mandates, but I think that at the core of it, it's about universal access for everybody. So whether it is to broadcasting diversity of views through the Media Diversity Agency, the MDDA, whether it is through ensuring that underserved, particularly rural and township communities, do have connectivity, which is the mandate of the Universal Service Agency, and then Broadband Infraco, which is our fiber company, again, working together with USASA to ensure that we're able to bring connectivity to those areas where perhaps some of the commercial partners are not so much interested in. They're quite an interesting bundle, if I can put it like that, Peter. Firstly, because of their mandates, where we think that there's a lot of role clarification that needs to be done. I mean, when the Universal Service Access Fund, which forms part of one of the entities, was set up, the idea was that it would ensure that it puts in incentives, it facilitates the entry of, small businesses in building their own networks, supported obviously by your larger and mobile network operators. That particular approach seems to not have worked as well as government would have wished. Hence, then they established Broadband Infraco, which is necessarily, the country's now a fiber network developer using, again, that Universal Service Access Fund. And another reason why we chose them is because we are worried about instability as it relates to leadership within these institutions. There's a lot of governance challenges, obviously, then lead, to a failure in the execution of mandate. You have many of them, or at least most of them, where boards have not been appointed for a long time, like the Universal Service Agency. You've had CEOs in acting roles since 2019 at the Universal Service Agency. The other two, while you do have the governance structures in place, MDDA is rocked with infighting between management and the board, between the staff and management. And Broadband Infraco is sitting in a position where their financial sustainability, I'll put it like that, is in question. So we'll be engaging with BBI today and obviously building on the insights around these institutions from there.
And getting these institutions right is vital, because they are a key in terms of this universal access story. And if they don't work, we don't get our dream.
We have absolutely no option but to get them right, Peter. And one of the biggest challenges I think the industry faces now, just being communications and digital technologies, has been again this issue of instability. And I mean, like at the highest level, at ministerial level. I don't know how many ministers we've had just in the last, you look in the last 5, 6 years, and you find that while Parliament would have passed laws, while there would be industry consensus on a vision and how we need to move to achieve what we need to, each minister comes in with their own priorities. So while you would have, as I was indicating, I mean, just using the example of USASA, you would have agreed that let's set up this fund, the mobile network operators contribute to it, and then as and when they need to go into certain areas, they can tap into this fund so that they don't deplete their resources trying to service what they deem, unviable constituencies. And the next minister will come in, and then that particular policy changes. Now suddenly you have government intervening in a way that makes us question what was the market failure, why did this particular approach not work. So we really trying to work with Minister Malatsi and say to him, when we went to the Universal Service Agency yesterday, for example, that entity was told in 2016 that it would be de-established. And what it did, it started operating as an entity that is waiting to be closed down any day. So they don't hire people, or in the event that they do hire, they're given short-term contracts. So there's no a security of employment for those employees. You can't attract capable people to work at USASA because it's in this state of limbo. And we're saying this is 10 years down the line, nothing has happened. Can you give assurance to this entity that it exists until it doesn't? I mean, we know that you don't just wake up and dissolve an institution. It's going to take the next 5 years. Give them certainty, give them assurance, and tell them the mandate that they have is still relevant. It's still there in statute, and they should be implementing it. BBI, on the other hand, and I'm expecting to see exactly what we saw at USASA yesterday. BBI was told that they would be rationalized, they would be merged with Centec, which is the signal distributor. And again, you now have BBI that has moved into these offices of Centec. They get there, they feel like they're the poor cousin because they wouldn't have a balance sheet, for example, as Centec does. And all that is suffering is service delivery. All that is suffering are the employees of these institutions because we are just refusing to have stability in our institutions, which for me is not understandable.
And that's where we're going to have to leave it. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us, and continue with the good work. Our country and our citizens depend upon your success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
That's Khusela Diko, MP and Chairperson of South Africa's Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Communications and Digital Technologies.